So today we're going to show you how to make a fallow version of kimchi. So we call it Trimchi, which was actually an idea of one of the chefs called Jody. And as you can imagine, there's quite a lot of veg prep involved with a busy restaurant like ours. And you know, we found ourselves with lots of spare stems and stalks of different vegetables. So Jody's idea was that let's try and turn it into kimchi. So effectively using all the trim, hence the name Trimchi. So as you can see through this box here, we've basically got a collection of spring green stems. We've got a selection of cauliflower stems, broccoli ends. It's pretty much it at the moment, but you know, as the seasons change, it might be a case that we have Cavolo Nero stalks or Hispy cabbage stems, etc., etc. This Trimchi is a really good recipe that's been on the menu now for about a week. And I'm just going to go through the processes now and show you how it's done. This is about a week's worth of stems. So as you can imagine, it's probably about 10 kilo or so. And all we've done is just take off the leaves from the stems. No need to really trim them up. They have been washed. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put them through the robo slicer, which basically just has a spinning blade, and we're just going to cut them all into about 2 millimeters. The width and the length of them doesn't matter too much because we're going to brine them. And that's going to break them down completely, and then we'll juice them at the end. Just go in like so. And what we're left with here, as you can see, is thinly sliced stems of all the trimmings. So just going to carry on until we finished all of this bucket. So kimchi is traditionally fermented Chinese cabbage. You know, it's that really big, fat white cabbage which has kind of like an awful lot of leaf on it, very compact. So obviously this isn't a traditional kimchi whatsoever, really. But what we're doing is basically we're trying to get the flavour of kimchi, but ultimately we don't want to go too out there with the flavour combinations because obviously we're still trying to balance it into a menu full of predominantly English flavours. So that's the last of our stems, just finished off slicing now. So to make the brine, just very simply, I've just got a large pan. We just need enough water to 3/4 cover the cabbage, because then over a 24-hour period it will start to salt and ferment and go soft, and we'll just keep pushing it down. 15 litres of water, 200 grams of salt, and the same of sugar. Just put a little bit of heat on the bottom, just to dissolve the salt and the sugar. Very, very quick. So I've got my stalks, my water, mix around, make sure they're all nicely under. That's ready to go into ferment.
Cool, so these cauliflower stalks have been fermented for about 6 days. They got this really funky smell that you get when you're fermenting. So they've actually broken down quite a lot as well. So they're quite soft. That's just the bacteria breaking down the sugars and the stalks, has that effect. So then we're going to drain off this brine. And now we're going to add our spices to it. So what we're going to use for this is another byproduct that we've got in the kitchen, which is fermented chili and garlic pulp. So we make a lot of sriracha in-house, and when you pass the sriracha through the sieve at the end, you basically get this leftover thick pulp, which is this. Splits that down to a really fine powder. We call it it's almost like a smoked paprika, smoked pimento, but it's also got all those fermented flavors as well, so it's going to go really, really well in a trimchi. So now we've got this weighed out. Now we just add this into our trimchi. Give it a really, really good mix. And then basically this goes back into ferment again. This is going to stay fermented now for another 6 days. Also, there's no reason why you can't do this at home. Just replace the fermented chili powder with something a little bit more generic from your spice cupboard. The principle still remains the same. This is our finished trimchi. So you can see here we've got this mold that's growing here. Now this is nothing to be scared of. It's called lactobacillus. So it's basically a very, very common bacteria. We get that in most fermentation. So It's essentially what that's done is that bacteria, which has been inhibited by the salt content, has very slowly started to break down all the fibers and all the sugars that exist in the whatever ingredient you're fermenting. Whilst it does that, it creates acids which preserve but also create that funky flavour which we associate with fermentation. We're going to juice this, so we're going to make a really ultra clear and really clean flavoured kimchi ketchup. We mix this with some fresh English tomato juice, so it's like really nice and vibrant and red. But this is perfect to eat as it is. Like it's super delicious. But we're trying to get this on our menu in a way that's got a little bit of finesse. Here we've got this beautiful, clear, like quite clear, smooth liquid, which is, I mean, it looks a little bit like Heinz tomato soup, but it tastes like all the best bits about kimchi, you know? Like to turn something from a cauliflower stalk, which is often thrown in the bin, to something like that is just absolutely game changer. So this is set tomato juice infused with that kimchi juice as well. And this is our gel base. So we're going to blitz this on speed 8 for 2 minutes in a Thermomix. It's a bittersweet vinegar. So it's made using a Chardonnay grape. So it's a really, really good quality. So it adds loads of incredible sweetness and a light acidity. So it'd be like using, it's just a more market version of like a really good quality white wine vinegar. Right, so we've been blitzing our gel for a while now. What you want to do whenever you're making a gel is just check how smooth it is. So what you're looking for is you're looking for the light to perfectly shine off the gel. When it's shiny like that, it means that it's broken down enough. And it's smooth enough. And there's enough liquid in there. And that's our finished Trimchi ketchup.
So here we've got our butter poached halibut. Just cover the top of the fish in crispy tarragon leaves. Just mellows out the flavour ever so slightly. I've got my clams, which we've just steamed open in crab stock. And just taken off the top shelf for presentation. Now we're pretty much ready to plate up. So we've got my lovely turnip puree. Here I've got some spinach with some pickled lemons mixed through. Then we're just going to go on with our lovely fish. So this is our lovely, nice, acidic, finished kimchi ketchup now. But the idea is that once the ketchup kind of mixes in with the sauce and the white turnip puree, it just mellows it out a lot more. We've just got then some lovely, nice coastal herbs. We've got some sea aster here. Got a little bit of sea purslane as well. Just adds another sort of salty, minerally taste to the dish. And the last thing to go on is we've got a really nice, intense crab and shellfish sauce. So a little bit goes on the dish now, and then we serve the rest in a sauce jug on the side.
This is our finished dish. So the Trimchi is going to add a load of nice acidity to it.
So the halibut's quite neutral on purpose. You know, it's just got one flavour on top, just the crispy tarragon. You know, the turnip puree, again, it has this like slight bitterness to it, and a nice creaminess to the dish. But then the kimchi ketchup just comes through the back. Adds like a real mellow little heat in the background.
Basically, when you eat things that are acidic, it sort of makes you salivate more, and it sort of, you know, tricks the mouth into thinking that it's more delicious, and it makes you continue to want to eat. The Trimchi is there to add that sort of tangy, sort of funky, interesting acidity that just makes you want to keep going back for more.
Okay.
Like and subscribe, Fallow Restaurant, tips and tricks, and ways of using ingredients that would otherwise be thrown away.
Kimchi.